Because, if you are a leader, you are struggling with decision fatigue. So I think a lot of managers were like, autonomy, give them autonomy. Cool. Hey, listen, I trust you. Do whatever you want. So the problem with the cult of autonomy is it's enabled people to avoid the hard thing first.
Leadership DM, Jay Scott's direct message to his team and clients. Learn how anyone like you can become an irreplaceable leader of unstoppable teams. Today's DM, Jay tackles the cult of autonomy and the multiplier mindset. A lot of leaders are bragging about giving their teams total autonomy, as if that's like a new kind of elixir. You call that the cult of autonomy. What do you mean by that?
Okay. And I hope Daniel Pink is listening because I wrote that article for him. I wrote that article for him. As you know, he wrote the book. He wrote the book called Drive, and he addresses the three things that motivate people in the workplace, and that's mastery, autonomy, and purpose. And I know how I feel when people turn my work into a weapon against outcomes, how frustrated I get. And I know his intention was really to help unlock people and help them get better outcomes because, he says that over and over in his work. And so the reason I call the most popular outcome the cult of autonomy is because if there's any managers or executives listening, you're gonna feel this. And if there are any, team members listening, you're gonna feel this because I'm gonna relate to the other side of it. I know that being a manager, there's so many things that I have to decide. Somebody needs to buy something. Oh, that's got to come across my desk. Should we buy this? Should we not buy this? So literally every email I have to open, I have to give it my attention. I have to think, what are they asking for? What do they need? How can I help them? Does it make sense to help them? Should we be doing this at all? Like literally every phone call, every email I get, like everything is a decision. So I think a lot of managers were like, autonomy, give them autonomy. Cool. Hey, listen, I trust you. Do whatever you want.
Because they're struggling from like decision fatigue, right? How many decisions do you make in a day?
Right. Because if you are a leader, you are struggling with decision fatigue. Should we be working on this, right? How do I lead this? How do I motivate this? How do I crisply communicate this? There are so many things that I need to decide and then figure out how to do. And because we communicate to lead, I literally have to think, how am I going to message this? And we look at all the playbooks. Okay, so let's take Kim Scott's playbook, Radical Candor. Okay, so I have to care personally and then challenge directly. Okay, well, I got to get my head in the game. Who's the person? How do I say what needs to be said clearly in a way that person can hear me? That's a lot of work, right? We communicate to lead. Therefore, vision, most failure leads back to a muddy vision. Okay, so I've got an idea of a problem that we need to solve, but in order to get people on board, I need to figure out how I'm going to message this, how I'm going to present a vision to people where they can see how it'll measurably improve customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, and profitability. Leadership done right is a lot of decisions and it's exhausting. So I watched Daniel Pink's video. I'm like, oh, autonomy, give them autonomy. I'm like, cool. So now I can focus on my stuff. Problem, my stuff, what? My individual contributor stuff? I'm a leader. My only job is to build a single unified high performing team. That's my job. Okay. So, I get it. I got stuff like this stuff that we're doing right now. This is my stuff, like the thought leadership stuff. But my stuff can never get in the way of me supporting my team. So, hey, you know what? I don't even need to know. I'm sure you've got this. I trust you. Leads to breakdowns. And then I'm supposed to what? Go defend that breakdown. I'm supposed to go support my team member. Well, the problem is, what am I doing? I'm getting out there to have their back, and I'm arguing with a customer. I'm arguing with another manager. I'm having my team members back around a decision that I had nothing to do with in the first place. That was never the point. Now, team members, okay? Team members want to be successful, but human beings chase pleasure and retreat from pain. And we want to be told all the time, good job, good job,
right?
Good job, good job. Therefore, feedback, coaching can feel difficult, even if you trust the person. Even if you trust the person, like I think you trust me. I think Faith trusts me. Jake, who's been on the team for almost 25 years, trusts me. But I think sometimes he runs into a problem and he's like, I should bring this to Jay. So that's going to be a lot of work because he's going to bring it to me and I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to stop. I'm going to give it my full attention. And then I'm going to coach, which requires him to be present. which requires him to unpack whatever I'm unpacking because I'm going to take him on a journey. Vision drives behavior, behavior drives outcomes. If he's stuck, how do I help him see what he needs to get unstuck? It's a lot of work. And so this, right? What's not a lot of work is I figure it out myself. Now, this is short-sighted. It's short-sighted because if you're figuring it out yourself, you don't have alignment with the team. That means that the vast majority of your outcomes are not going to align with what the team needs. And so right now it feels easier, but when everything's on fire and we're putting out dumpster fires regularly, right? What most people aren't doing is connecting that to the fact that as a team, our outcomes are all supposed to be aligned to supporting everybody else's outcomes. So the problem with the cult of autonomy is it's enabled people to avoid the hard thing first, to deal with the hard things later. Well, alignment, right? Let's stop there. Nothing else needs to be said. Let's just say alignment. Hey,
what are we building?
Hey, we use the 1-3-1. We use the challenge opportunity, which means our process for rationalizing work requires we, at a minimum, define the problem clearly. We come up with a solution, and then we vet that solution, right? We require that. Why? Because if we do that up front, we have alignment. Now I'm in it with you. We both think it's going to work. There's a high degree of likelihood it will work. And on the off chance it doesn't work, that's cool because we were in it together. But it's work. You've got to do all those three things I just said rigorously, because when you bring it to me, I'm going to challenge it. That's my job. I'm going to challenge it. And this is engagement. You have my full attention. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to say, why did you decide this option? Well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? I'm not criticizing you, but often it feels like that, right? And then more importantly, we don't want to look bad. So what if I ask you a question you don't know how to answer and you're caught? Now, with high trust, we do this. We do this at 120 VC. We do the hard work because I don't want to pretend like all the things I'm teaching are like easy, make everything easy. No, they improve the outcomes. They improve the outcomes. And by the way, when we're getting excellent outcomes, the work is worth it. But when we avoid the hard work first, getting the alignment.
And it's so hard to ask,
which requires
human beings to, as you stated, it's so hard to ask human beings to retreat from pleasure, dive into that sea of pain for a moment, because to them and to so many people, it's this common process of I have a task, I complete the task, I move on from the task, here we go. And that usually starts with someone requested something of me and you're following the same roadblock. Instead, I'm asking something of you, but we're going to do the hard stuff first. We're going to get that alignment first. We're going to have that clarity first before that whole process begins. Because guess what? Even though that's hard at the beginning and that's annoying and that's going to maybe prolong the process in your brain, it's going to make the outcome and the journey to the outcome a lot easier.
Well, and here's the thing. We're categorizing it as hard. I categorized it as hard. Okay. The truth is, it's not hard. It is work. Maybe lazy is the result of a bad habit, a habit of people thinking about all the work it's going to take to get the outcome they need, right? Which is demotivating, instead of focusing on this outcome I'm going to get, making the work easy. So I think the vast majority of people focus first on how hard it's going to be, and therefore it's demotivating. Like, oh my God, they want to avoid it, right? And so, like, why not rewire this? Like, what were you saying? Instead of chasing pleasure first and retreating from pain, you're saying chase the hard work.
Yeah.
Chase the hard work first, and then the pleasure will come, right? Or maybe we just realize that, hey, this work that we're doing up front is awesome because we're going to get an excellent outcome, and it's not something to be avoided. But the trick is human beings are hopeful creatures. And even though we know the odds are always in the house's favor, how many millions of people go to Vegas every year? Right? We know the odds are in the house's favor, and the vast majority of people go to Vegas to lose money, but they go to Vegas because they're hoping this one time I'm going to make money. This one time I'm going to pay for my trip. I hear all these stories about these high rollers. They go to Vegas and they pay for their trip. Are they even telling the truth? Right? And so the story in their mind is, I have to go lay myself bare in front of my team and my leaders to get alignment first. And that seems hard, okay? Or if I could just have autonomy, I could go get started. And even though I know sometimes that doesn't work, maybe it'll work this time. And so I avoid the hard work and I still win. But if we reflect on our actual outcomes, our actual experience, it's not true, right?
Right.
Managers, the majority of the time when you say, I trust you, go do it, there's a breakdown. There's a result. There's an outcome. Somebody works really hard. And this is why the statistics about getting things done are so terrible. They work really hard. And when they bring it back to the team, it's not aligned. It doesn't do the trick. And now we're doing rework and we're putting out all the dumpster fires. So I talk a lot about people being burnout busy, people going from dumpster fire to dumpster fire to dumpster fire to dumpster fire. I talk a lot about how the dumpster fire is just a result of a failure activity, right? The dumpster fire itself is not the root cause. Right? There's a failure activity, but they put out the dumpster fire and then they move on to the next dumpster fire, leaving that failure activity in place, leaving that root cause in place. I talk a lot about doing the work to eliminate the failure activities. Therefore, you have fewer dumpster fires. Therefore, you can spend a lot more of your time on innovation and prevention activities. And this is one of them. The failure activity in the cult of autonomy is, I trust you, you got this. And you know what? It's easier for me to just go and figure it out than it is to ask for help or get alignment. Therefore, anytime I do get coaching or management from my manager, I'm going to call that micromanagement. And so it's essentially doing the easy thing has been weaponized and it's creating dysfunction. The cult of autonomy in and of itself is a failure activity that if we can eliminate, we'll get better outcomes as a team and the work up front will stop feeling hard. Because it'll feel like we put in the reps. It's like the uphill mountain bike climb. To get the exhilarating downhill climb, ask any mountain biker when they first start, they tell themselves, I'm doing this for the downhill. I'm doing this for the downhill. I'm doing this for the downhill. Over time, they realize that the endorphins that they get on the uphill climb, like avid mountain bike riders are like, I do it for the climb. Sure, the down is thrilling, but I do it for the climb.
Right.
And that's the mind shift that we need to make. And really, that's what Daniel, I think, he doesn't call me. He doesn't return my phone calls. Daniel, I'm sorry. I've blown you up like 20, 30 times over the years. I'm just kidding, everybody. What I think he was trying to say is set the boundaries. Say, hey, we need to go to Mars and back in the next decade. Who's got the skill set to help me figure this out? Then, hey, leader, get down in the trenches with them and say, hey, subject matter expert, in your lane, based on the work that you've got to do, can you come up with a solution for the problem that you are best suited to solve?
Right.
You're going to get, yes, of course. Great. Let's clearly define the problem that you have the expertise to solve. So we're both on the same page.
Right. The mastery part.
Right. We define it. Then I'm like, cool. How long do you need to put some thought into this? I know I said Mars and back in the next decade, but we don't really have that long to get started. You need a day, you need 2 days, you maybe need a week. They're like, give me a week, right? We were clear on the problem. Now, before they bounce, I'm going to be like, so you just said you need a week. Yeah. Okay, great. Walk me through how you're going to go about this in the next week, so I know where we're going to land. And then I ask questions to understand your journey. Okay. And if I understand the journey and this rocket scientist understands the journey and we both think it's going to work, I know at the end of that week, I'm going to get a predictable outcome, which is a plan that's pretty close. And then again, after challenging a little bit, right? Once I understand it, if we both think it's going to work, it's going to work. And this is how we set our team members up for success. This is how we give them autonomy within their lane. But this is also how we give each of our team members autonomy while aligning all of their outcomes to ensure this person's output serves input to this person's output, serves as input to this person's output, right? And at the end of a month or 6 months or a year, we've built something huge together while eliminating a ton of waste and frustration and burnout busy.
Right on. Hey, thanks for watching Leadership DM with Jay Scott. We are just getting started here and we want to multiply our impact. If you dig this episode, please share it with a friend or a colleague. Subscribe or follow for weekly episode drops full of practical principles, tools, and frameworks you need to become an irreplaceable leader of unstoppable teams. Thank you.